Module 2, Lesson 2, the Minor Arcana Pip cards. In the previous lesson, we got an overview of some of the key characteristics of the 4 suits of the Minor Arcana. And if you'll remember, we used the ace cards as examples to illustrate those ideas. In this lesson, we're going to take a look at how those same characteristics apply to the first 10 cards of each suit, the aces through the 10s. And you're going to get your first taste of reading individual cards by interpreting the symbols. Excited? Me too. Let's dig in. Remember, there are 4 suits in the Minor Arcana, and each suit is made up of 14 cards, 10 pip cards, and 4 court cards. We'll start with the suit of wands. Here are all 14 cards in that suit, but we're going to deal with the court cards in a separate lesson. So let's take away the page, knight, queen, and king. You can pause the video now and pull the ace through 10 of wands from your own deck, or just follow along on the screen. Ready? Notice that the first card is an ace, rather than numbered with numeral 1. It's also the only pip card with text on it. And this is true in all 4 suits of the Rider-Waite Tarot, as well as many other traditional decks. This gives you a clue as to its importance. Aces represent the overall characteristics of their suits, and the aces in each of the 4 suits have very similar images, which all include a hand. This hand is presenting us with something, so aces are often read as the beginning or inception. Remember the suit keywords we learned in the last lesson? Some of the keywords associated with wands are enthusiasm, power, and ambition. Let's take a look at a few of the cards in the suit of wands to see the different sides of enthusiasm, power, and ambition. Let's start with the 2 of wands. So, in addition to the keywords associated with each suit, like the keywords for wands shown here, which again are enthusiasm, power, and ambition, there are also keywords associated with each individual card. Now, the goal of this course is to teach you how to read the cards by interpreting the symbols and not having to memorize the keywords for each one of the 78 cards. That said, as we do these first exercises, I want to give you a little bit of an assist. So I've included some free downloads to help you as you're starting out. Many people find it helpful to have reference guides as they're learning, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Think of these resources kind of like training wheels to help you as you're gaining confidence. So after this lesson, you should feel free to print out the Minor Arcana keyword chart. The specific keywords for the 2 of wands include new endeavors, wealth, fortune, desire, and aspiration. Keeping those keywords in mind, I'm going to show you how to read a card by digging into the symbols in the illustration. In this card, we see a man standing atop a castle tower, high above a seaside village. He's looking out over the horizon and holding a globe in his hand. Note how he's interacting with the wand. He's using it as a support, a source of strength. Knowing what you know about the suit of wands, that it's about enthusiasm, power, and ambition, take a look at this scene and try to describe what might be going on. In a moment, I'll have you pause the video here and study the image on the screen, or look closely at the 2 of wands from your own tarot deck for this exercise. As you work, remember that these are symbols and don't have to be taken literally. For example, the globe in his hand could be interpreted as a new and metaphorical world, like a new business venture or vocation, rather than the actual world. So pause the video now, study the card, and then we'll talk about what you came up with. So, what did you come up with? What do you think this scene is depicting? Could it be about a person who seems to have everything? He lives in a castle after all, but still dreams of having more. Could the globe in his hand mean that he wants to travel or try new things? Could it mean that he wants to acquire or even conquer new lands? Might he be interested in pursuing a position of power, either in business or politics? Perhaps he wants to be in control of everything, to have the whole world in his hands. Keep in mind that these symbols don't have to be interpreted literally. The Two of Wands depicted the overarching characteristics of the suit of Wands: enthusiasm, power, and ambition, as well as the card-specific ideas of new endeavors, wealth, and fortune. Let's take a look at another wand card, which illustrates the flip side of enthusiasm, power, and ambition. The Ten of Wands. The person in this scene surely exhibits the characteristics of enthusiasm, power, and ambition, but at what cost? Let's take a look at this card. It depicts a man struggling under the burden of a huge bundle of wands. The keywords associated with the Ten of Wands specifically include struggle, burden, overextending, and doing it all. Unlike the person in the Two of Wands, who is using the wand to his advantage, leaning on it for support, this person is bent under the weight of his bundle. He is clearly straining. His head is down, buried in the very things that represent ambition. He's so intent on carrying the load all by himself that he can't even see where he's going. So if this card were to come up in a reading, you could interpret it to mean that the person you're reading for, even if that's yourself, is taking on too much and suffering because of it. Powerful stuff, right? Let's do one more before we move on to the next suit. The Eight of Wands is a good practice card because it doesn't have any people in it. When a card depicts a person or people, we can look at their facial expressions, their body language, and how they're interacting with the scene to interpret the card. But a card without people, like the Eight of Wands, can seem a little tricky, but don't worry, the same principles apply. Let's take a look. In addition to the keywords associated with the suit of wands as a whole, again, enthusiasm, power, and ambition, the card-specific keywords for the Eight of Wands include action, speed, movement, progress, and travel. And you can really see that in this card. Those wands are flying through the air. You can almost hear them whizzing by. So if you got this card in a reading, you might interpret it to mean that a situation is moving forward at breakneck speed, or that a stagnant situation is finally busting loose. It could also indicate that an impromptu trip is coming up. Next, let's look at the Suit of Cups. Keeping in mind that the Suit of Cups is about emotion, instinct, and psychic matters, we'll take a look at a couple of cards to see how those characteristics can have very different meanings. Let's start with the Three of Cups. But before I put the keywords up on the screen, I want to introduce you to one of my very favorite tarot reading tricks, the 3 questions. And you can ask yourself these 3 questions no matter which of the 78 cards you're reading to help you center and really clarify your thoughts. Okay, the first question, 1. What's the vibe? So for this question, take in the illustration as a whole. Don't get bogged down in the details just yet. This first question is all about first impressions. So without overthinking it, what's the vibe? For me, words that come to mind are celebratory, friendly, happy, joyful. Okay, on to question 2. What's going on? Now that you've got the overall vibe of the card, let's zoom in a little bit and examine what's going on in this scene. 3 women are dancing in a circle with goblets held high. One is holding a bunch of grapes, so we can assume that their goblets are filled with wine. They have floral wreaths in their hair, and there are mounds of harvested fruits and vegetables at their feet. It seems like they have plenty to eat and drink at their celebration. Now let's move on to question 3. What's the lesson? So depending on where this card falls in your spread and what question you're trying to answer, the lesson here could be that it's time to celebrate the abundance in your life, to gather with the people you love and share your good fortune. Or, if you've been in a dark period, this card could indicate that you would benefit from the support of people who care about you. Every single card has to be read in the context of the spread and the question that's being asked. We'll really explore that concept in depth in a future module, but for now, keep these 3 questions in your intuitive toolbox. They're really useful to support your readings, with or without knowing the traditional keywords. But let's have a look at the traditional keywords associated with this card. The image in the 3 of Cups definitely supports the ideas of the card's specific keywords, which are friendship, success, abundance, and celebration. It also speaks to the suit of Cups keywords, emotion, instinct, and psychic ability. We can really feel the emotion here. These people are obviously full of joy. The instinct and psychic ability pieces in this card really have to do with spiritual health and being in tune with what you need on a deep and psychic level. In contrast to the 3 of Cups, the 8 of Cups, though it's in the same suit, is a very different card. Let's ask our 3 questions here. What's the vibe? This card is much darker, both in color and in mood, than the 3 of Cups was. Craggy rocks are rising up from the water. It appears to be low tide, and other than some moss on the shore, the landscape is pretty barren. Question 2. What's going on? Let's zoom in on the details and try to tell the story here. A person has carefully stacked cups and is leaving them on the beach as they walk away. They're following the shore under the full moon with a walking stick that indicates that they might be going on a long journey. Finally, question 3. What's the lesson? Well, if cups represent emotion, then this could mean that the person is leaving behind a relationship, good or bad, or moving on from bad feelings, or having failed to find fulfillment, is striking out to find something deeper and more meaningful. Any of those ideas, and many more possibilities, would align with the traditional keywords. Remember, the keywords for the suit of cups are emotion, instinct, and psychic. And the keywords for the 8 of Cups specifically are moving on, seeking meaning, and leaving it all behind. Now it's time to flex your intuition. For the remaining 2 suits, the suit of swords and the suit of pentacles, use your downloadable minor arcana keyword chart and the 3 questions method. Remember, what's the vibe, what's going on, and what's the lesson, to explore some of the cards in each suit. Take some time to really meditate on the cards and let your intuition flow. Then, if you like, jot down your ideas in a journal. In the next lesson, we'll learn about the court cards of the minor arcana.